burnout. Is it actually possible? Without these three things that we're going to discuss today, it's going to be extremely difficult. Now, welcome back to the 4Q podcast. My name is Sheena Shui. I'm a burnout therapist and a business mentor, multi-passionate entrepreneur. I've got several businesses, several things I've got my hands into, and I want to talk to you about business without burnout because that is my specialty. So, there are three things that you need to have a business without burnout. But let's talk about if it's actually possible. Now, I want to say yes and no to these questions at the beginning because in my own entrepreneurial journey, I had to burn out to seek answers to rectify the burnout. So I want to avoid that for you. But most people who end up working with me or coming to me have been burnt out in their business or entrepreneurial journey at some point. So I almost want to say you have to experience it to see that you don't have to do it that way. So that would be my caveat to this question, to this kind of discussion is sometimes you have to know what you don't want to know what you do want. So maybe you have a business, but it burnt you out. And then you're going, can I actually do this without the hustle culture? Because burnout is actually just what happens when we buy into hustle culture. This idea that we have to sacrifice everything to make your business work, to be financially successful, to make it in life. And that's just BS. I have met multi millionaires who've never worked a 40-hour week, ever. Maybe when they first started, when they were in their early 20s working for someone else, but they've never done that for themselves. Now, why? That is because they recognize that they are getting paid for their output and their results, not for their time. So again, to give you a specific example that I always come back to, that analogy I tell you about, where if you buy a website, you're not necessarily buying the hours that it takes to get that website. You're just buying someone creating that website. So again, two different skill sets, two different people. You might get a website where it's just as beautiful, two beautiful websites, but somebody took 20 hours to make the first one. Someone might have taken 3 hours to make it, but that doesn't matter. You are paying for the results and the output, and you're going to be happy. You don't need to know how long that person took. All you need to know is that they got you the results that you wanted, and that is what you are paying for. Now, a lot of industries, when you go from working as an employee to working as a freelancer or a subcontractor or a business owner or a consultant of any kind, that's where you really need to change your mindset around this of working really hard, really long. That is what makes your work worthy. No, your work is worthy just as it is, just like you are worthy just as you are. So you can see how that personal development piece of I am worthy, my work is good enough, I am an industry leader, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. So people can pay for that quality premium for me. It doesn't matter how many hours I put into it. That takes a while. It takes a bit of personal development to get there. Also, just to deviate for a split minute, I am currently in Mumbai, if you can see. For those of you watching on YouTube, I'm in the hotel room at Mumbai, and I'm very aware that I have a bit of a bit of a lisp right now. I'm actually here getting my teeth done. And I'll explain that journey. If you're following on Instagram, go check out my journey with my teeth. That's what I'm doing. Unfortunately, I can't use TikTok while I'm over here. I don't know if there's some block, but I'm going to share that journey on TikTok eventually too. So right now, I actually have a fake mold of my old teeth, which is super annoying. It's like, why would you make a mold of my old teeth? But it was the quickest thing they did while my teeth are getting made for me. So I have a little bit of a lisp, and I have And just something going on my tongue right now. So if you're hearing that, that is what that is. Now, back to this, right? Of your your understanding how valuable you are, how you can be an industry leader. Again, the website example. If you are phenomenal at branding and websites and putting stuff together, you might be able to put together a website for someone in 3 hours and sell it for like 20 grand or something, right? Something ridiculous, 15 grand. But if that is your jam, if that is what you are good at, people are willing to pay for that, right? So I've worked with several website designers. My own team has done website design themselves, and there is different quality levels for sure. And sometimes I can see amazing designers undercharging. I can see shitty designers overcharging, but that's not the point. The point is, I'm just paying for the result, not the time. And so, regardless of what industry you're in, you have to remember that that is what people are paying for. And it takes a lot of personal development work to be okay with that. So, this is why when I'm working with my mentees, when I'm working with the people inside my own coaching programs around being an entrepreneur, being an industry leader, so much comes back to their worthiness piece and actually seeing themselves as the one. And that can be really hard because I think, again, when we think of an industry leader, sometimes we have to let go of that conditioning that an industry leader is someone who works 100 hours and works for the largest company in the world. And it's like, actually, no. I know some people who are absolutely smashing the mold in their industry. They're getting hundreds of follows a day because they're saying something that nobody else is saying. And that's what I'm going to break down in next week's episode a little bit more. But you can do that. You don't have to be managing a team of 100. You don't have to be, you know, the top of the top in some, top city. You can be an industry leader as a solopreneur if you're brave enough to see yourself as the one and say what the hell you want to say. But getting back to, can you have a business without burnout? I want to talk about these 3 things that we need to make that possible for you. Okay, first thing, totally cliche. So don't roll your eyes at me if you hear it. It is boundaries. But I want to break this down a little bit more because boundaries is a word that gets thrown around a lot. And I think a lot of people misunderstand what that means. So boundaries can be with both yourself and with other people. So a boundary might be for somebody else. Uh, okay, so you set your working time as I finish at 3 o'clock, but then a client messages you at 3:05 and you go, oh, it's only 5 minutes. I'll just reply to them or I'll just get back to them. The next time that client messages, it's 3:10, 3:15. Now, you might start to get a bit agitated or whatever. You did that because you bent the boundary the first time. The expectation now has been set that you are someone who bends their boundaries. And that's not the case. So it's really important to have clear boundaries and make it clear to your team, to your clients, or whatever that looks like for your business and your industry. That is what the boundary is. Now, don't get me wrong. You might, I do this sometimes as well, is there's boundaries with clients, but you yourself say, I'm finishing work at 4, but you tell people you finish work at 3. And then you might go, I'm actually going to reply to my emails at the end of the day, but schedule them for the next day when people know that I'm working. So again, for those who interact with me, my working hours are 10 till 2, Monday through Thursday. But Sometimes I will work outside of that, but I schedule my emails to try and be within that time or at least 9 o'clock. And a lot of my clients already know I'm a working mum. So sometimes between 10 and 2, I'm actually not available. So I might message someone at 9 o'clock or in the evening, and that's okay. So, but just being mindful of those boundaries with your clients. You need to hold them rigidly because it creeps in and you always feel like there's more to do. Because here's the thing, there will always be more to do. So you've got to set those boundaries with yourself and others. Otherwise, you're always going to chase the end of the to-do list. Sometimes we go, I had so much on my to-do list. Let me just tick off a couple more. The problem with that is it's like laundry. Laundry is a never-ending cycle. You think you finally washed all the sheets, all the clothes, tea towels, whatever, and then you finally get everything clean, but now you've got more dirty clothes again. Like it is just a never-ending cycle. You will never get to the end of every piece of laundry being cleaned, washed, folded, dried, put away. Okay. It's the same with your business or your entrepreneurial thing or your leadership if you're still working, whatever that looks like. That to-do list is never going to get to the end. And once you accept that, you can go, okay, I'll get as much as I can done, but I'm not going to keep chasing that elusive end because that is what will burn you out. Thinking just a little bit more, just a little bit more, just a little bit more until it's a lot more. So setting boundaries with yourself is vital and learning how to do that. And it's a practice, right? So because here's the thing is that if we work together inside the 20-hour business week academy, for example, when I'm working with my clients on creating businesses that save them time, earn them more money in less time, structuring businesses in a completely different way that they never thought possible. It's so fun. But part of my work is, like we already talked about, the worthiness part. But the second part is going, you need to work less. You might think to yourself, I want more time up my sleeve. But then when I give you that time, you fill it right back up. You fill it with more on the to-do list, more stuff, more stuff, more stuff. Now, that is the second part, is setting a boundary with yourself of, for example, I'm going to work out every single day. And it might not be every single day, but let's say you want to increase your workouts. You know you haven't been consistent with working out or taking care of yourself. Now, you might think to yourself, oh, but I've got to choose between working out or my business or working out and the kids or whatever that thing might be. So it's really important that you learn how to set the boundary with yourself of, even though there's stuff to do, there's things I could be cleaning, there's things I could be doing in my business, no matter what, I'm going to get my workout in. I'm going to get my daily walk in. I'm going to get my meditation in. I'm going to get my journaling in. I'm going to get that sunshine in, that vitamin D. I'm going to get that nature in my day. Whatever that thing is, because that's going to regulate your nervous system for one, so you make much better and clearer decisions in business and in life. It's going to take care of your health and your nervous system so that you're more calm, you're more regulated, you're more joyful, right? But it's also going to teach you how to set boundaries with yourself. Because if you can set them with yourself first, it's going to be easier to set them for other people, particularly if you struggle with boundaries. I see you people pleasers. I see you out there. Okay, so boundaries is number one. So number two is clarity on your vision. And what I mean by this is clarity on both your short and long-term goals. So that's the second piece of this, is having a business without burnout looks like clarity on your goals. Now, what do I mean by that? So you need to know what the hell you're working towards and what your goals both personally and professionally are. So for example, if you're someone who has a child, maybe you've got a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, or you're thinking about having kids in the next kind of 5 years, you need to plan your business so that you can do that. So sometimes we plan our business for where we are right now, but if your long-term goal is you want to be a parent or you want to travel the world, you want to have a business that allows you to travel the world, or you want to have a business where you could take 3 months off to go backpacking in countries where there's no Wi-Fi or minimal Wi-Fi or whatever, you have to set your business up and the way that you structure yourself into that business very differently to if you have more availability or, what that looks like. So you have to think about what am I working towards? And also other things like, are we buying a house in the next few years? Are we looking to get into real estate? Because sometimes, not always, but sometimes in those first few years, you're balancing the looking like you're making profit so you can get a loan from the bank versus when you make profit, you have to pay more tax. So you're playing that balancing act on, do I pay a lot of tax so I can get a loan from the bank so I can get more real estate? Or do I work for someone else part-time so I can still get the loan from the bank, but I'm paying less tax because I'm reducing how much profit it looks like I'm making? It's such a balancing act that I'm not a financial advisor. You got to talk to your accountant about. But that's what I mean is that I know people who are making multi-six figures who have a job, right? So you have to let go of the ego, get clear on what you want, and ask yourself, what is the balance here? What kind of business do I want? What kind of structure do I want? Do I want to get into other investments such as business, real estate, stocks, shares? What's the lifestyle? And that's what we figure out in the 20-hour Business Week Academy too. When I mentor you, yes, it's about your current business, but it's also about what investments can we make? What's the long-term vision here? And seeing yourself as someone who's absolutely capable of doing that. Because again, if you've got money blocks, if you've got personal development stuff going on around money, you might not see yourself with someone who can have multiple businesses or, multiple investments in real estate, stocks, whatever that might be, without hustling, without grinding. I'm going to tell you right now, the people I know who own the most real estate, who own the most stocks, who have several businesses, work the least of people I know. But they didn't always start there. They all had to go through that burnout journey too, to realize, holy moly, I do not want this. Or maybe, as we've heard on many of the stories, if you go to any of the guest podcasts here, it's often I work, and then my kid got sick, or I got sick, or someone I love died. And it was like this light bulb moment of, I can't do this anymore. I am sacrificing all of my time for things that don't matter. What matters? Your health, your family, your friends, and your happiness. Everything else is just kind of a vehicle or a gateway to maybe that or supports that in some capacity. But those are the things that you need to be focusing on. So how can we structure your life, your businesses, your investments to allow that? So business without burnout is planning for the future as well as what are my short-term goals? Planning for both. Figuring out a plan that I might need to do X in the short term so I can do Y in the long term, i.e., I might have to see one-on-one clients now because I won't be offering that in the future because I'm going to have more flexibility around kids, etc. So I might want to outsource that part of the business in the future, and I'll just manage the business, right? So for example, in one of my businesses, I'm just purely the director and the business owner, but I don't do any service delivery. Yeah. So my role in that, don't get me wrong, it fluctuates, but it's very minimal because I don't need to do the service delivery. Okay, so we've talked about boundaries, we've talked about clarity. The third thing that you need for a business without burnout, as I remind myself as well, is again, those aligned offers. So basically what I was just saying, which is that you need to get clear on what does your freelancing, your business, your entrepreneurship, what are you going to offer that aligns with that clarity piece, that aligns with your short and long-term vision? So you've got to create an offer that aligns with that, but also aligns with the future and what your clients want. So a lot of the time, again, we got to let go of this idea that you have to hustle and grind to be at the very forefront of your industry. What I find is when you need to be innovative, when you need to think to yourself, okay, how can I earn more in less time? That's where innovation comes in. So people who will create offers and programs inside their freelancing or their businesses that have never been created ever because they're doing something so different to everyone else in their industry. What does that mean? That means you get to be at the forefront. Now, when you are an industry leader, people chase to catch up to you rather than you having to chase to catch up to other people, or at least feel like you have to chase to catch up to other people. When we are chasing energy, that burns us out. That's anxiety energy. It's coming from a place of, if I don't do this, I'm going to fall behind. I'm not worthy enough. I'm going to fall this, I'm going to fall that. Like it's a comparison place rather than an aligned offer, which is, this is incredible. No one else in my industry is offering this. My clients are absolutely going to benefit and are asking for this. And it aligns with my current schedule, my current goals, and my future goals as well. So, for example, let's say, we've got a naturopath who works with gut health. Now, most naturopaths will do one-on-ones, that kind of thing, maybe some teas, some herbal teas, send them out. But what if this naturopath goes, okay, I want to have another kid next year. So I need to have some flexibility. I can't be working 40 hours a week and doing one-on-ones all the time. How can I offer something different? And what that naturopath might do is create an offer around gut health that includes, they might outsource the one-on-one piece to another person. So they might outsource the one-on-ones to another naturopath and pay them. Sorry, let me just turn this off so you don't hear the beeping. So they don't have to do it. They pay them, but they've sold a package. So it could be a $2,000 package, but the person gets teas, they get one-on-ones, they also get meditations, because perhaps the gut health is linked to fight, flight, freeze, fawn, anxiety, all of that. So they have other options to help with the anxiety. So meditations, maybe they get a therapist on board. So maybe the person has a package where they get sessions with the therapist to regulate the anxiety, sessions with the naturopath to focus on the gut health, specialized, personalized teas, and also 6-month check-ins, 3-month check-ins, or follow-ups, or some sort of unique something that is there. Now, you can see that is not an offer that you can get from many naturopaths, right? I don't know anyone doing that. That puts them at the forefront because people go, oh my gosh, it's like a one-stop shop. That is what I need right now. That's exactly what I need. And people save money because, the way that you've packaged it, they end up saving money. You set yourself as an industry leader and you've pulled yourself out of it, because let's say it's a $2,000 package, and by the time you outsource the therapist, outsource the one-on-ones, you might, and some of the teas and all of that, you might make $1,000, but you just made $1,000 without having to work that much. You pre-record some training on anxiety, you pre-record some meditations to calm the nervous system. So you have those passive and active elements of what you do, and it puts you at the forefront. And then maybe your job is just to do the social media or the marketing for the business, because again, for those who are new into business, your marketing and social media, your sales should be 30 to 50% of what you do. Because you don't have a business if that is sales and marketing, if no one knows you exist. You could have the most beautiful boutique shop in the world, but if no one knows you exist, it's going to go kaput, right? That is something that was a huge lesson for me when I experienced burnout because I spent so much time on the wrong things in business. And that's what led to the burnout. So, again, just to summarize, three things that you need to have a business without burnout is you need to have aligned offers, you need to have clarity on your vision, and you need to have boundaries with yourself and with your clients. And the final extra piece is that you need to have that self-worth part to know I am absolutely able to do this. I am absolutely able to be at the forefront, to have all of this, to have a big vision for myself of being an industry leader, having multiple investments, multiple businesses in 20 hours a week. You actually need to allow yourself to know that you're A, worthy of that, and B, that it's possible. Because if you don't believe that, it will never come. You have to witness that. And that's why it's so important. Like, go to networking events. Like I said, meet people who are doing it. Like myself, like I'm doing all of that. I'm literally in Mumbai right now. Like I'm just doing stuff, here and there, but I'm not working in like 40, 50, 60 hours a week to make stuff work for me. And I can do it around a job, right? So every now and again, I see some job offers and I'm like, oh, I really miss working in my industry sometimes. And so, I get tempted, but I could still absolutely run all of my businesses and my investments if I wanted a job as well. So be mindful of that. And you can absolutely do this. You absolutely can, but you've got to do the self-development work. And I think we've made that abundantly clear how important that self-development piece is, that conditioning, seeing yourself and your life differently. All right, beautiful soul. Don't forget, we are actually having an aligned offers 3-day challenge inside the Tranquil Trailblazers membership. So check out the show notes. If you want to check out the Tranquil Trailblazers, join us because we are going to do a 3-day challenge at the start of September for those who are watching and listening to this at the time of this recording. Join our membership and you'll get to be part of that challenge, that 3-day challenge where we're going to create some of these amazing aligned offers so that you can have a business and a life without burnout. All right, be kind to yourself today, beautiful soul, and I will see you in the next episode of the 4Q podcast, hopefully with new teeth. Bye for now.